Now, from this moment forward, everything we do is wrong. Everything we do is wrong. I mean, this is a one game. And look, there's this Amumu pair in my shop. I literally say to myself on Carousel, the most impactful thing we can get is Amumu 2. And there's an Amumu right here. Alright, so for reference, this game is 5 Grandmasters, 2 Masters, and a D1 player. Alright, so here's Carousel, and my general ordering for Carousel is Rod number 1, Chain Vest number 2, Droplet number 3, and Fist number 4. Those are the items I like the best, and a tree with a rod, either LeBlanc or Nico, is actually like the best possible thing you can get. Because the 2-cost trees are the harder ones to find. They're only 25% when you're on level 3. And the 1-cost trees are not as hard to find. So if you want to get 3 trees, having a 2-cost one off Carousel actually helps a lot. And you can see the entire lobby contesting Nico with a rod, because this is so good, and you can just make it into a Death Cap or into a Morello, and literally play this throughout the entire early game, which is, that's such an advantage. So anyway, we don't get it. The Chain Vest also gets taken, probably half the people were contesting that. Yeah. Aerostorm, the we win these, yeah, he got it. And so there it is. Alright, so now we're on to 1-3. And the key to 1-3 is that there's a lot of units that can solo, and if these units that can solo increase your chance of getting gold, of getting an extra interest. And so Renekton is one of those units that can solo. And so we see him in the shop, and so what we have to decide is, do we want to sell Skarner for the chance for interest? And we do, because Skarner with a fist is not really worth anything. So Renekton's going to solo this, and what you're going to see is, first of all, he can solo this on any hex. He doesn't need an Ocean Hex to solo this. And the reason we do this is because if we get, in this case we have 6 gold, so if we get 2 gold packs, we now make interest and we don't buy any units, which is why we don't want a second unit playing, because we'd only have 9. But we buy the shop because we don't get gold. Alright, so now we're here, and in the early game what you want to do is keep pairs, because 2-star units are better than 1-star units. And so I immediately buy the pairs, and I move them to the right, because I put units I'm going to keep on the right, and I play them, because right now I'm thinking, if I get a gold box, how do I make 10, right? I want to make 10 if I don't have to give up too much. So all my paired units are playing, because I know that I'm not selling my paired units no matter what. And now these 5 unpaired units are the ones that I could maybe sell if I get a gold box. And so right now I'm thinking if I get 2 gold, I could sell these 5 unpaired units to get up to 10. But we don't get gold, so I should have bought Vayne here, and I didn't get it in time. So right now, I'm tilting, because this shop is awful, and it gives me absolutely no direction, didn't complete any of my pairs. And I'm thinking about the items and what I want to make with the items, right? The items, we're looking at, hopefully Locket, maybe? Yeah, maybe Hand of Justice, but, really, Locket is our only real makeable item, so we're really hoping to complete Zyra pair and make Locket. I don't make Hand of Justice because I think Thieves' Gloves and Seraph and things like that are too good. So I decided to open for it because there's really no chance of winning with all this garbage, and I'm just trying to figure out what's the way to give up the least and get to 10 after I lose. And I know I'm keeping Talia because she's paired. And so I'm looking at these oceans, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's some direction. Glacial units are really good in the current meta because Glacial's so broken. I'm looking up here to make sure I have time to figure this out, because I really do need to get to 10 this turn. And I'm basically thinking, okay, I can sell this, it's too late for trees. And I decided to sell Thresh as the 2-cost, because it lets me buy Ornn and him, which turns Volibear into a really good role to turn on the entire early game. So here we finally hit. We hit the Zyra, and that's big, because now we can make Locket, and now we can actually play a real team. I'm thinking about whether I want Centipede. I really do want Centipede, because it gives me an out to get really strong with Senna. And right now I'm just trying to think, is there a way how do I get to 10 if I keep this Senna pair? What am I playing? I put Senna in here, and here I kind of go crazy because I was toying with the idea of leveling, and I tried to put Nico in, and I realized I haven't leveled. So yeah, here it's a bit cooked, because we're gonna lose, we didn't level, we actually don't kill a single unit here, and we have to give up something significant to get to 10. We either have to give up Centipede, we have to give up Nico for the trees, or we have to give up the Glacial package. And I decided to give up the Glacial package because the tree pair, the Talia pair, and the Senna pair give us the most outs to get so much stronger on the very next turn. So we give up the Glacial package because that only hits on exactly Volibear, and it's not even amazing because we're not going to bench Zyra 2 at this point. Well, I guess we could play Zyra 2 with the other 3, but it doesn't synergize well with Zyra 2, so these things synergize better with Zyra 2. And then we hit Senna 2. And so we got rewarded for keeping that Centipede. A lot of people would see Senna, they'd be like, she's garbage, and they wouldn't keep the Centipede. But guess what? It gives you the opportunity to high roll like this, where now we have a Senna 2, which is actually a really, really huge power spike compared to the other units. So here what I'm thinking of is, can I get 20 after Carousel? Reasonably. And I decide the answer is no. Reasonably I can't, but if I manage to win this somehow, I'll probably sell Talia pair and go up to 20. Because at this point, we don't really need Talia. We'd rather have a third tree next. And obviously this droplet can go on Zyra because it makes her ult faster, and that's good. I didn't realize Senna was this good. I looked at these teams and I was like, well, there's no way I can win this fight. But we actually kind of crushed this guy. So, props for Zyra, props for Locket, props for Vayne being completely awful. All those things turns out to be true by this fight. So we win. So now we need a 2 cost to sell, what's her face? And so I'm really hoping for a Droplet, Sword, or a Fist here to complete a mana item for Zyra or to complete Double Fist. And there is a Fist on Karma. We don't really have anyone who can hold it right now very well. But it's by far the strongest item we can complete here. And so our goal is to hopefully find someone on 5 who can hold this well. The reason we don't slam Hand of Justice, by the way, as this carousel happens, is because if we slam Hand of Justice, we're committed to worse comps. Whereas if we do Double Fist, Locket, and Mana Item, we can still play either Mage or Shadows, depending on what we hit, right? If there's a brand in my shop at 6, I'm just going to go Mage, I'm going to make this into a Mana Item, and I'm going to play Double Fist on Nautilus, right? Or if it's a Zephyr, I could literally have 3 items that work with Mage or Shadows. So the reason that's why I don't slam Hand of Justice the way other people do, is that Hand of Justice is not good in Mage, right? Hand of Justice brand is not good. That's like a very, very suboptimal item. And so there's no reason to slam it. Like, if it were guaranteed to win you a fight you would have lost early game, maybe you could justify slamming it, but there's really no reason to slam Hand of Justice early and commit like that and lock yourself out of a comp like Mages, which, then if the brand comes into your shop on turn 5 or turn 6, guess what? You can't take advantage. Anyway, I saw we were going to get railed here no matter what, and so I didn't bother putting the Hand of Justice, putting the Double Fist on a suboptimal unit. So there's Kindred, and so now we could probably slam Hand of Justice if we wanted to, except that we shouldn't, because what's better than Hand of Justice is Thieves' Gloves. And so we're just going to slam Thieves' Gloves Kindred, and you'll notice that we have no frontline in, because early game comps are all about offense and defense, and the 2-star Locket is enough defense. So it's optimal to play the 2-star Locket as our defense and just play all offense with the rest of our comp. We can also get out of trees and sell them to go up to 30, which is what I'm counting right now to see if that's possible. And I just moved Talia over because I think we can go up to 30 and keep Varus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we can. But we'll keep Talia if we lose. If we win. No, we won't, actually. We would probably keep Nasus if we won, because he's the best unit here. Maybe Vlad. I think what happens is I win and take Vlad. No, I lose and sell all. Alright, so that's that round. We're keeping Varus because he's one of the best things to add with the Kindred because he gives Ranger. I'm just repositioning for rocks here just to make sure I don't accidentally lose. Make sure they all target the rock on the left first. Because my team is not that strong. So I don't want to accidentally lose. That would be a disaster. Okay, so we get a shell. That makes Hush. Not very good. And we get a belt. Or a rod, which is also not very good. And I'm deciding whether this thing is worth interest for. And this is a really important point, right? Most people would just auto-sell this for interest, but it's not even close when you look at the fact that I'm missing Ranger and Inferno. Varus is by far the best unit I can add when I level to 5, and I know I want to go 5 after rocks. So I add Varus, I sack interest for him, and play him, which adds Inferno and Ranger for Kindred. And I really think it's terrible to sell the Varus there and go up to 41. I think sacking interest for by far the best unit you can play on 5 is definitely the correct play. So by the way, right here I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to make these items. I really don't want to make these items. If I don't make these items, I'm going to be super weak. I'm looking at my health, I'm seeing I'm at 76, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not an ideal situation, but I'm scatting around trying to see how weak I am, and I'm like, alright, I'm pretty freaking weak. I'm going to get railed by everyone. My plan is to not make these items, to greed the items off Carousel, and in order to not die while I do that, I'm going to go 6 and roll to basically 0 or until I'm strong. What I'm rolling for is to 2-star Kindred, hopefully, 2-star Mals, hopefully, and then any insert unit, right? A Summoner would be okay, 1-star Annie would be great, 1-star Yorick I would probably play, any sort of 2-star Nautilus or 2-star Malphite can get thrown in for frontline, any 2-star, any 2-star really, like Diana. The reason I take Diana here is because if I 2-star her, I want to play her. And so yeah, we're just looking to try to pair some of these units, try to maybe pair, complete Varus, complete something. Take Ez, because we maybe play Ez Braum over Varus, which is what I play here. But then we hit 2-star Varus, I think, and I kind of panic a bit and get kind of an in-between comp here. I would definitely play a random Karma 2 as the 6 man in. And so we find Diana, and now Diana plus a better unit is stronger than Ez Braum because it's a Diana 2 with Inferno. But I kind of panic a bit and don't quite get things in time, so we're running a random Braum 1 on this turn, which is not the biggest deal in the world. But we win, which is nice. I would have sold Thresh if we hadn't won. But Varus 2 would be a nice spike, because that would get us Inferno and Ranger. And I decided to keep rolling here because we hit Scion. No, I don't. I don't roll here. I just put Scion in over Braum, I think. Because he's got the Shadow buff, and I think that's better than Ranger. I think a Scion with the stun and the Shadow is better than Ranger. Because our units are 2-star, so they have HP, and because of the 2-star Locket, I don't feel like we're lacking defense. So Scion for extra offense is good, is what I want to play. And now I'm thinking about whether Scion wants the Locket. The hope is that these units will jump to Mals. I wonder if we can actually see it here. Yeah, so this was pretty good. I mean, this is the kind of thing that happens where, you know, Scion, by being back here, Scion jumps up this way, and then he gets this kind of stuff in his cone. And I think that's correct. I think if we put Scion here, he might just die to everything. And jumping up after, as things group up, just like Zerks always do, and then letting the higher HP Mals hopefully ult, take a bunch of hits, ult twice, and then die, is probably the better way to play this. And so we win this fight too. So our roll to 0 was successful. We found the Diana 2 for Inferno. We found the Malice 2, and now we're strong enough. By the way, no whining about having Kindred 1, right? I don't understand that, but people whine that they have Kindred 1 after they rolled to 0 on 6. It's it's fine. We're winning every fight with Kindred 1. So I'm looking at this. Seraphs would be really good for Zyra. So this would be really good, but even better would be a second Locket, because right now we're running all offense, and if we get a second Locket here, we can continue running all offense for through at least the end of round 3 for sure. And our next man in is probably Varus 2. So if we can get a second Locket for more defense so that we can run Varus 2 as our next man in, that would be really, really nice. And so you'll see, I'll speed it up here because that's basically what happens. We do this, we get our second Locket, which is really nice. And because we make it on Skarner, don't accidentally combine with the tier. And so now we have 2 Lockets here, still running all offense, no defense. I might switch the Scion and the Malice here, I forget if I do. But yeah, I'm basically just thinking, do I roll here? Nah, we're probably strong enough. The second Locket's a nice spike. Yeah, so this is the Woodlands dude. I don't know, we just kind of just stomp him. Because our team is just good. We're just running good Shadows and good Zyra with good items, and Senna's doing a lot of damage, by the way. Just so you guys know, Senna's top DPS that fight. So here I'm thinking about this Senna. I'm thinking about whether Senna 3 is worth it, but the problem is that 3-star units are just not powerful enough, right? Senna 3 is not a big enough spike to justify missing interest multiple rounds for the Senna pair on the bench, right? And because I want to go 7 and then I want to go 8, I don't want to hold gold for Senna. I want to just use that gold to level, and then once I'm 8, I'm not going to be able to roll for a 2-cost unit efficiently anyway, so I decided it's not worth buying the Senna. I'd rather just keep the Ez, because there's still a chance that we cut the Scion 1, we hit Ez 2 on 7, we play Ez 2, and we play a Glacial with him. And yeah, you can see that, like, our comp is just really strong, right? Like, that's a guy who's 630 gold. Oh, okay, he's actually 650 gold. But yeah, like, we're in a decent spot. The early game was a bit scuffed, but we're in actually a pretty decent spot now, where we are beating people that are at even econ with us pretty close. Yeah, so now we hit this as the big spike. I'm ready to just drop Ez2 at this point. And this is where I'm looking at my comp, I'm looking at what's been going on, I'm looking at my 65 HP, which is now in the middle of the lobby, and I'm thinking, I think I want to just run this comp until 7. Because my entire board is 2-star except Kindred, and I have the 2 lockets for defense. So I think what I want to do here is just run this board until 7, or run this board until 8 rather, adding the Varus 2 with Inferno. Hopefully, maybe I have an upgrade for the Diana, but who knows. So yeah, now I hit the Scion pair, and now I kind of want to pair the Scion or find a better replacement for Diana. So I decided that because we have the Scion pair, it may be worth it to roll down now to try to find a replacement for Diana. And I think I do that on one of the next couple turns. I roll down to try to find a replacement for Diana and to pair the Scion. There's a Vhagar pair, so now Vhagar 2 is better than Scion 2, so now I keep rolling. Now there's a Malphite pair, which is better than Scion. Malphite 2 is way better than Scion. And then I kind of just, I'm like, I have to use these items, so yeah. We put that on Varus because Varus is coming out and I don't know where I want it, and we put the Declaw on Scion. Now, I believe we lose this fight because you almost always lose if you don't exactly... No, we don't. So we're pretty strong. So I was right that my board is strong with the Varus, but I do think that it is correct to roll here once you have the Scion pair and you have this Flex Diana unit that's not adding anything, which if we were to replace that with like a Malphite 2, it would be huge. Or even replace it with a Mal's 2, right? A second copy of Mal's 2 would be great. So now I'm just picking late game comps, and now I hit Malphite 2, and so now I'm pretty much done rolling, because Malphite 2 goes in, he goes on the Hex, Scion goes back to his old spot to try to jump in and get a cone, or a similar spot to try to jump in and get a cone. And now I'm thinking about whether this Diana is ever going back in, and 6 Inferno is just kind of a meme in the current meta. I think it just gets so outclassed by 6 Shadow that I think I'm just going to sell this Diana for interest. And we can sell the Vhagars, and we can sell the extra Mal's. Mal's 3, same argument, Senna 3, just not enough of a spike. So I'm thinking about whether we're selling Mal's and Vhagar for interest, right? We're definitely going to sell Ez and Yasuo. I'm also seeing, like, how the fight's going. Looks like we're still pretty strong, so that's good. Yeah, and so now I'm thinking, okay, what do I do about these frickin' midgets that aren't going to go in until I find Yi? Probably should sell those for interest, but... you know, we can't yet because it's only 28. We're definitely not selling Scion pair. So here it's Scion and Kindred, and here's where I think some people would start donkey rolling for Kindred too. Don't do that because your board is strong and you're fine, right? When we were rolling, we could have upgraded Kindred, we had Scion pair, and we were looking for a unit to replace the Diana too. Right now, we would literally just be donkey rolling for Kindred 2. That's the only out to get stronger. Not only that, but we're in a really good spot, right? We only have to sell one of these Vhagars. We can actually keep a Vhagar on the bench and get to 30 after Carousel. So that's the optimal plan. Not donkey roll for Kindred 2 and then mauled when you don't hit it. That's like the retard move. So we're not going to do that. And you'll see, like, Malphite 2, just like a naked Malphite 2 with no synergy, like, really carries fights. Like, this fight is probably not a win if that Malphite 2 is still, you know, Diana 1. Or Diana 2. Anyway, so here's Carousel. Basically, we have an unpaired droplet, so we're kind of looking for a mana item or a Hand of Justice or something. There's a Yi. I look at that, I'm like, well, we're not getting that because we're at 65. In general, because Morello is pretty decent on Senna, I usually go with Belt over Shell when I have to just take half of Zephyr. And so I scroll over this Nami because I'm like, this is the bad item. That's probably the best thing for me to take because it's a 5 gold belt. But it's gone. And so I'm like, okay, 3 gold Shell. Take the higher gold, half of Zephyr. That's the best we can do. And this guy gets it, so we end up with a freaking 2 gold, half of Zephyr. And it's kind of a disaster Carousel, but you know what? Whatever. Whatever. That's what we get for having the best comp. It's alright. We would have gotten a better item there if we hadn't hit Malphite too, so like, the luck evens out in this game usually. So yeah, I'm scouting around, seeing how strong we are, seeing if I can justify putting Scion on this and he can still jump in and get a good cone. I decide he probably can. Also trying to position for the Zeke's Herald we just got. I think Varus wants attack speed more than he wants Locket HP, so that's why it's positioned like this. And then Malphite can take a Zephyr eventually. He may come out eventually. He'll probably stay in the whole game. But yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping would not happen when I gave him the belt, which is that he'll get his ulti off once. So yeah, this guy went to 8 and rolled to 0, so it's pretty common that he just rails us. And this is where we are going to sell the Veigar for interest, because Veigar goes in with Yi. And if we're rolling a lot of gold to find Yi, there's no way we're not going to find another Veigar on 30% if we find a Yi on 6%. So, and even if we do, it's not high enough chance. The gold is probabilistically worth a heck of a lot more. So at this point, we're just kind of playing the waiting game. We're probably going to go 8 after Raptors, scatting around. I decided to frontline the Locket here because Malphite died last round. And I really want him to get his ult off, and I think Senna will be fine and Kindred will be fine, double Locketed frontline. And you'll see Kindred's totally fine this fight. He takes like a couple hits, she takes a couple hits and jumps away. And then like the backline Varus on the Hex is pretty good. He's fine. There are no assassins to kill him, so... Yeah, and frontline the Locket really helped. You'll notice Mal's is still alive by his Locket HP here, right? So this was a good decision to frontline the Locket here. Okay, so the plan here is to try to get stronger during the roll down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video each roll and discuss the decisions being made. A lot of them incorrect. But just thinking out loud for a sec, Senna is kind of flex because she's my 4th shadow in right now. I'm not sure I actually realized that in this game, but yeah, so this rolldown is actually a bit cooked, and I think I make a good amount of mistakes here, and we get kind of bailed out, as you'll see. But anyway, rolldown's coming, and I'm going to pause each thing. Okay, so to start, we're taking this brand, and the reason is now that we have Seraph with these 2 tiers, maybe there's a 6th Inferno pivot in here. And if there's a 6th Inferno pivot in here, I mean, 6th Inferno sometimes feels like kind of a grief, but if there's a 6th Inferno pivot in here, I would kind of wish I still had my Diana too, right? So that's like not optimal. Anyway, a Summoner would be good, right? This a Yorick 2 would be decent. We could add that as a frontliner, and a Warden would be good. Amu is kind of the nuts because he pairs with Inferno. And then obviously Yi. I mean, Yi is actually the nuts. So we level and we roll. Nothing really in the shop we can play. Maybe a Karma 2, but probably not. Ash Crystal is a bit ambitious here. If we were to hit a Taric, we could, in theory, play Taric and cut Inferno for Crystal, or cut the 4th Shadow for Crystal. So this copy of Scion is good, because another copy of Scion 2, not only would another copy of Scion 2 be a good thing to add here, and play until we find Yi, but it actually gives us outs to hit Scion 3 and actually get really strong, and maybe even, like, win this game without Yi, with just playing a 3 Shadow package. We could even move our 2 Lockets to Scion 3. So that would be a big hit. And then still, in theory, we could have a brand 2 Seraph 6 Inferno game. So we buy these. Alright, and now we get pretty lucky. And yeah, so we could buy brand 2, but like obviously that whole thing is off the table now. We hit Shadow Luck, so we don't need Yi. We can win this game without Yi now. And so now it's just a matter of, we've hit this, now let's try to win. Let's sell the rest, let's econ, and let's try to actually win this game. So now, I think I forgot that all I had to do was add Lux. I think I thought I needed to put one more Shadow in. I also knew that I wanted to move the Seraph to Lux this turn, and move the Lockets to Mal's, because Mal's is a summoner and he uses Lockets pretty well. He uses the defense well, and he uses the offense well. Although I actually wonder if the Lockets belong on Senna, with the current version of Senna, because Senna is actually pretty powerful now, as you can see, 2nd DPS. Buffing her ult might actually be the correct use of the Lockets. Yeah, so I have 6 Shadow in now. I'm trying to position Lux. She should go on the Hex. I don't get that done in time. Obviously, Vhagar 1, which is what I put in here, is not what we should be playing. That should have been Yorick 1, probably. But yeah, we mana bug the Seraphs, but obviously this comp is kind of a disaster. Scion needs to be on the Hex, Lux needs to be on the Hex, Malf should probably be up more. There's no reason for Kindred to be here outside of the Locket. She's just gonna die for no reason. And we might have had a free roll or two to make Econ this time for Kindred 2. We probably had a free roll, or to upgrade Yorick, or to play something better than Yorick 1. Like, even Braum is not bad for Warden, or if we found a Warden. So yeah, we eat this loss, and this is a loss that probably could have been avoided. Obviously, Scion 3 at this point, when we're sacking Econ for it, when there's a chance to go 9, is not worth it. So now I realize that I kind of panicked to put the Vhagar in, making sure I had 6 Shadow, and we don't actually need him. So Vhagar's going to leave. And I'm going to put in Braum for Warden. And I'm just trying to reposition the Locket, get Lux on the Hex, all the stuff that I should have done last turn before I do any sort of rolling or anything, just to try to get this comp in a better position. And now we're going to roll because I want to replace this Braum with something a little better if possible. So I roll once, but now I'm kind of thinking about it. So we're going to do the same thing we did on level 7 here, and I'm going to pause and discuss this roll down a bit. The main thing at play here is I'm deciding whether it's reasonable to go 9 this game, and I don't think it really is. We've got this 30 gold, and I think the best way to use it is to try to get stronger with the level 8 composition. Our weaknesses right now are this Braum is a pretty big weakness, and this Kindred 1 is a pretty big weakness, and everything else is probably fine. If we hit here, we could probably top 4 this. And one of the things to notice is your gold is a lot less valuable at level 8 than at every other level in the game, right? I would never probably be rolling for 1 upgrade and 2 upgrades on a different level. Oh, obviously we can hit Yi, and that's a huge hit. But on level 8 you can, because at level 8 if you're not going 9, your gold's worthless, and you might as well just roll it to 0 and then play your comp to the strongest it can be. So that's why we're rolling here, and that's why we take this Nautilus, because Nautilus 2 is something that can go in over Braum to be better. Amumu is the nuts, Yi is the nuts, those rolls would be great. And then we're taking these Ashes because replacing this with Taric and replacing this with Ash would also be awesome. And I think you'll see at later points in level 8 that I think I kind of forget that I don't have Inferno in, because this should really come out for Ash 2 regardless. And I'm pretty sure I pass up an Ash 2 later, which is obviously not amazing. But yeah, I'm thinking about this Annie. I don't think this Annie ever goes in, because I think Warden is better than Annie with Inferno. But I don't know. This is some of the mistakes I'm talking about, where this roll down here feels a bit cooked. Like, I'm not sure I play this really optimally. Anyway, there's an Ashe pair, and I should immediately be thinking 1 more Ashe and Varus comes out for Ashe so that we can play Taric over Braum, and that's our comp, right? That's what I should be thinking. But, like, I'm not really thinking clearly enough, right? Like, I sold the Nautilus and I'm taking another Nautilus. Like, it's just a bit, you know, this could come out for Ez, too. This could come out for Ez, too, and we could play Ez Braum. But, like, I don't think I really realized that either. But we hit a Mumu, so that kind of bails us out. So that's the nuts here. But we should take this Ash 2, sell this Varus, and play Ash 2. That's, like, definitely the correct play here. Well, oh, right, we hit a Mumu for Inferno. So, yeah, so now it's fine. And now, I guess, now with the Ash 2, I'm thinking, like, okay, Inferno is actually probably worth it. Inferno is probably worth it, but then... Right, but then, like, then where do we put Taric in? Like, are we going 9? We still haven't hit Kindred. But... Anyway, so I decided to keep the Ash 1 on the bench so I can get the Crystal Synergy with Taric. If I, like, say, grab him and go 9, right? I grab him, I put him in, I go 9, and I play Ash. But yeah. Anyway, here's Carousel. We're just looking for a Lux item, something that makes Lux better. You know, Zeke's Herald is okay. But, you know, most of these items are pretty useless, and the one that really impacts fights is the Spear of Trojan. And a big part of the reason is just the base stat. The droplet base stat is so effective on Lux because it makes her roll faster. And then, and yeah, so that's the biggest impact item we can get here. You know, Zeke's on this is like fine, but why? This is the most impactful thing that can happen in the fight. And actually, technically, Lux isn't actually going to ult faster because we could put her on the Hex, but for positioning flexibility, we're obviously going to want to take her off the Hex at some point. And so, in that sense, the Spear definitely does make her ult faster. Plus, obviously, any auto attack between ults, it'll give her an extra 20 mana or so. So, well, not 20, more like 16, 15 mana. And so that's really good. And so it's by far the best item we can take. Anyway, what we're doing is scouting around trying to find a good way for Scion to get a nice cone where he hits the whole front line. And I put him on the edge hoping he'll jump to the middle, and he does, and that, it kind of works. It kind of works. He doesn't get a cone, but what's happening actually is when no one has a unit here, he's jumping to the back line. And so that's actually pretty darn good too. And so I think I want to leave him over here. This is something to notice about what high elo players do when there's nothing to do. You could just sit here, you could turn on a stream or, just generally dick around, but if you really want to win, use all this downtime to work on your positioning. Any tiny tweaks to your positioning that you can make, you want to. I'm scouting for Zephyrs, right? There was a Zephyr on this hex. I decide of the 3 frontliners, Amumu wants to be on this hex. All right, I see I rolled a Zeke's Herald here. So I'm deciding, okay, Lux definitely wants both, and then, who wants attack speed, who wants Locket? And, I probably should have given Senna attack speed instead of Locket, but small things like that can help you. So I'm watching Scion again. He kills the frontliner, and then he goes backline. And so I think that the Scion positioning is actually pretty good. Right? Last fight, he killed the Azir with his ultimate. This fight, he killed the Kindred over there. So, I think the Scion positioning is pretty good, and I'm leaving him over here as kind of an off-tank. Yeah, Lux with the Rod's not great. When I eventually sell this Varus, the crossbow gone, Lux make it into a Rage Blade. It's not awful. Not the best, but not awful. My hope is still to play Ashe Taric as my 9. Replace this with Taric. With Ashe. Anyway, so we get a pretty low roll here. It's basically just stats. The effect doesn't really do anything. You can make an argument for Scion, Malf, or Amumu for this, or I guess Varus, but I end up putting on Amumu because the magic resist and the attack speed might make him ult a second time when he normally wouldn't have, or ult the first time when he normally wouldn't have, right? It might give him slightly more mana from the attack speed, or it might, make him not die from the magic resist to get an extra ultimate off, whether it's 1 instead of 0 or 2 instead of 1. It's not a great roll, but it is what it is. So now I hit Taric here, and that's what I wanted on 9, was Taric Ashe with Crystal. So I just level here, and this is really important. Remember, your gold does not really matter. Let's say we were to greed this around, right? If we were to greed this for 1 round, then maybe, we would have 5 extra gold to roll on level 9, but that's not what's important. What's important is killing the other players as fast as possible before they have a chance to get stronger. And so that's why, literally, this round, I want my strongest possible lord, which is Taric Ashe with Crystal. Yeah. So we go against the Shadow player. He's got a Zephyr here. Taric gets Zephyred. And yeah, Taric getting Zephyred is kind of a mess. And we get kind of railed. And I actually mouse over Crystal 2 here, because I'm surprised how bad it is. I don't know if I realized my Taric got Zephyr, but I'm like, Crystal 2, what the heck? That's terrible now. Everything just got immediately melted. But yeah, no, really, even with Crystal, Taric 1 gets absolutely melted by Yi. So yeah, there it is. Kindred 2 on 6-2. So, you don't have to whine about Kindred, not having Kindred 2 after you roll down on 6. There's plenty of ways to win. We should win this game, and we have Kindred 2 on 6-2. Anyway, I frontline a Locket because everything was such a disaster last time, and Zerks plays similarly to Shadows, where they come and they just eviscerate you so fast. And so I really want the frontline Locket so that all of these high-impact ults go off. I move it back once so that I have the Hex for a move because I think that's important. And then I'm just trying to position around, so I don't know, just kind of last-second switching. This guy doesn't even have a Zephyr. I just can't quite decide how I want it. Anyway, if you look at this fight, the frontline Locket, all these ults go off and Kindred doesn't die. And so we absolutely destroyed this guy, even though he jumped on Lux and killed her immediately. All of our frontline just railed him, and then Kindred jumped around the whole fight and killed everything. So, what I should be telling myself is, hey, Johnny, note to self, that Zerkers guy gets crushed by your frontline Locket. Now, Carousel is going to change that a bit, but, hey, no. We'll talk about what happens with that Zerkers guy later. So, alright, so there it is. There's Taric. Ashe 2 and a Mumu pair in the shop. So obviously we have to lock this shop. This is a great shop. Okay. So, this is where things start to go off the rails a bit. I mean, we got a strong team, and you're going to see we're going to win one more fight, and that's going to be good. Still just checking positioning, trying to figure out if I want Lux in the center or not. I do think it's generally the safest, and Assassin would jump on this Crystal Ash. That would at least take some time. It's good because Kha'Zix would have jumped on Lux. And Lux just kind of melts this team. Bye-bye, Kha'Zix. Oh, well, she gets her ult off before Yasuo kills her at least. But we're just stronger than this guy. Now, from this moment forward, everything we do is wrong. Everything we do is wrong. I mean, this is a one game. And look, there's this Amumu pair in my shop. I literally say to myself on Carousel, the most impactful thing we can get is Amumu 2. And there's an Amumu right here. And I don't take it. And I take the locket. Because I just didn't see it. I guess I just didn't see it. So, bleh. And then he gets Assassin Spat Olaf, which, you know, obviously that's pretty good. It was on his side of Carousel, so we couldn't have denied it. So yeah, so remember how we crushed this guy with the frontline locket when all of his Zerkers crashed into the front line? Well, now he has Sinloff, so obviously we can't do the exact same thing. But, I mean, I just, like, what am I doing? Lux is literally here about to get glacialed when an Assassin jumps on her. I don't know, like... So I just kind of lost my mind for this positioning. I'm like, oh, 3 lockets, that'll protect us from Olaf, and either Kindred or Lux will live, but that's not the way this works. And so I'm going to let you watch the fight first, so that when I talk about it, you can have some context. But yeah, as you can see, Kindred jumps over here. They're literally all getting hit by Olaf. He goes off. He kills both. Taric is the last one alive. Absolute disaster. 19 HP. You think we might have one more chance? Nope. Nope, we die from 19. Yeah. So that's that. So let's talk about what we should have done there, and then we'll finish up. So, here's the first thing. First thing is, I think we want to take Taric and move him to the Mana Hex, back here. And this is a really good insurance about Assassins jumping on this side. Because they're going to hit Taric, and then Taric's going to be on the Mana Hex, he's going to have Crystal, he's going to go off. So we want Lux in range of that. Lux right now is too vulnerable to Assassins this side. And when we watch the fight, you'll see what happens is Sinloff jumps this way, he hits Lux, he freezes Lux, Lux gets one ulti off and dies, and we end up losing, and it's awful. So, what we're going to do is we're going to switch Mal's and Lux. Let me take the circles off, there's no point. We're going to switch Mal's and Lux. And we're going to move Ashe here. Okay, so by switching Lux, our locket here, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to lose the Ocean Hex. Taric's not going to be in the locket, but that's fine, because he has Crystal on the Ocean Hex. And we're going to locket these 5 squares. Okay? And so Taric's going to be on the Ocean Hex. So what we're going to have is Taric here, Lux here, Mal's here, and Ashe here. And so now what's going to happen is, let's say the Assassins jump to this side. They have to get through 2 locket Mal's and 2 locket Crystal Ashe to get to Lux. If they jump to this side, they have to get through Taric without the locket on the Ocean Hex, whose ultimate is going to cast and hit Lux. Okay? A couple other things that Amumu didn't go off in this fight. So I do think I want to adjust the front line. I want to move them up here, I think, and use this Hex for Amumu. So that Amumu goes off and he doesn't take immediate aggro. The goal will be that Amumu will... these guys will get hit, they'll take immediate aggro. Amumu will walk up, take a couple Zerker cleaves to the face, and then all the pleb Zerkers up here. And so these three, Amumu, Mal's, and Sion can handle the pleb Zerkers. So it's just a question of where we put Kindred and Senna. We have 2 spaces in the locket left, here and here. I think we probably want Senna maybe like here, because if the Zerker targets Ashe, like the cleave will go that way or that way, so it'll hit Senna or Mal's, hopefully. Hopefully not even Mal's. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of space for Senna and Kindred. I don't know if the locket there's any real point to the locket. My guess would be if that his best chance to win would be jumping Zerkers over here and perma-freezing this. If you jump Zerkers here, you have to go through Crystal Ashe, and you have to go through Mal's before you get to Lux. I mean, maybe. Maybe that's fine. But yeah, probably, I mean, it's something along the lines of like Senna, Kindred here, or maybe like Senna here, Kindred here. Because if he jumps here, Kindred will take a couple hits and jump away and then get caught in Tarek. So I kind of like this, where it's Syndra, Crystal Ash, and Mal's protecting Lux on this side, and then Tarek here protecting Kindred and Lux. So this is one comp that would have won. I'm almost positive that this would have won instead of what I played. Okay, the other comp that I think would have won would be a Frontline Locket. So Frontline Locket was working really well before, right? And the reason that Frontline Locket works well is that all of these units, which are so powerful and we want to get their ultimates off and not die, get it. And so we could take the Locket and we could put it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so we would do the same thing here, where we take Tarek back here onto this Ocean Hex and play Tarek here. And then what we would do is we would play Lux, Amumu, Mal's. We want Malphite front and center to take the most aggro. And then right here, Scion. Because Malf is the toughest, and so we want him to take the most aggressors. And this, I think, would work, because like 1 or 2 Zerks would jump on Lux, but in a triple Locket, she'd be fine. The most important thing is he can't jump. If he jumps Assassins back here, then they're going to hit Tarek, and Tarek's going to go off. We're also going to move Senna here. We're going to move Senna here just to make sure that the Assassins can't target Lux immediately. This is a frontline Locket, by the way. I hope that's clear. This is not in the second row. This is the frontline Locket. And we move Senna here to make sure they can't target Lux immediately. And then, yeah, Ash is still going to go here as bait. And then, yeah, it's just where do we put Kindred? Kindred will just go, like, somewhere in the middle, like, somewhere probably here. As the secondary carry, Kindred goes here. So, the Assassins, you can jump your Assassins here, kill Crystal Ash and try to kill Kindred, but then Lux is going to live the entire fight and eviscerate the team. You can jump your Assassins here to try to get to the back of Lux, but then Tarek's going to go off, it's going to protect Lux, right? All of the frontline ults are going to go off. Scion's going to go off, Amumu's going to go off, and Mouse is going to go off, because they're all in the Locket. And yeah, so, this position, I think, also wins, because Lux is just not going to take enough aggressors here to kill her. And specifically, she's not going to take the glacial aggressors. If Volibear was positioned here to jump on Lux, maybe this wouldn't work, but yeah, I really think, because remember, we beat this guy badly when we frontlined the Locket last time, just because all of these good units in the front, well, Tarek wasn't here, but these good units just didn't die. And the reason we lost here is because Olaf comes back and he eviscerates our Lux. So this is another thing that could have worked that we didn't do.